I am Mustafa Sharif. Thank you for listening or watching Urbanistica podcast slash talk. Today I have the pleasure to have Atoosa as a guest in Urbanistica podcast. There is a super interesting and important story that she gonna tell us that affecting the city and the community in Sweden. I'm honored to welcome you, Atoosa, to Urbanistica podcast. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for giving your time and sharing your story and other people's stories as well.
Absolutely.
How are you doing, Atoosa?
I'm doing well. Today is a sunny day in Malmo, so I'm trying my best to enjoy it and stay positive as much, especially in this period of time with a lot of things going on. Yeah,
Yes, I can imagine it's not easy to stay home with the coronavirus time and the sun outside, especially for us here in Sweden.
still there is much you can do at home. So I'm trying to find things that I can do at home, basically.
True, true.
Um, yeah,
And recording a podcast is one activity as well.
exactly.
Well, that's amazing. Well, Atusa, how would you like to present yourself? We would love to hear your story first, and then we scale it up to the movement that you started. Jag är 2015, I am 2015.
Well, I am an artist based in Malmö in Sweden, and I work in cultural institutions with different roles like cultural project leader and the artistic director. And as an artist, my interest is for politics, social issues, and feminism. That is my basic focus right now in daily life. So I myself personally, I'm not an activist. I never worked as an activist, or I never worked with politicians and so on. And I I started something that created a movement together with the help of people, and I'm very happy about it. Um, I I work with newcomers and refugees daily life at my works, and my focus is based on integration in Sweden, how we can create network and help out people who are new in Sweden to create their own projects or be active in cultural and art projects. So that is my base. That is basically my daily life.
Mm,
So by this, I meet a lot of people who are new in Sweden or still waiting to get their residence permit or challenging how they found their ways in the society, because it's not easy. Even like for people who get residence permit, there is a lot to do to really melt into the like system and the society. Um, so that is why I have a lot of interest about fight for their rights, because I see how they are challenging every day. Because I mean, back in the times, in I can say 2015, Sweden was more open to people who are new in Sweden and welcoming them like in another way. But right now, I see that welcoming image is kind of narrowing down, and
unfortunately. Mm,
it's become more challenging and challenging for people to get a residence permit. Yeah.
mm. But I'm interested also, like, are you born here or you were also coming 2015 as the movement?
Basically, I came to Sweden alone without my family. I came a little bit earlier in the 2014, but my refugee case and everything proceeded in 2015. So I was visiting the migration office a lot, so I could really get the big experience of how was it look like and how they treated people and also me. So I had a huge, like I saw how Sweden looked like back in the days in 2015. So that is how I could connect myself to this movement. And I wrote that I was very proud to that I was a refugee in that period in 2015. I came alone without my family. I am originally from Iran. I had a very grounded reasons to come here and become as a refugee to get protection by Sweden, and I could like get a new chance to start a new life. Yeah.
Of course, that's also great that you went through all the process, so you understand the different details, the good things and the sad things in the process until you get your permission. So I'm very, how to say, it's big credit that you also were part of this story when you came here and also went through every single step.
Yes, I could get all of the like experiences by being a refugee during that year, and that is how I can relate myself to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For me, I was from 2010 from Iraq. And what I'm hearing like every year from like friends, people I met in the streets, it's getting harder and harder and like the process getting more complicated and so on.
Yeah, back in the days, like you could apply to get a permanent residence permit. This is one of the examples I can give you right now that right now you can't get a permanent residence permit. It's basically 3 years, and for some people 1 year. And after that, they're gonna open your case again at migration office and decide again if whether you stay or not. So this is one example I can say that how things has been changed.
Yeah, and I would love that we talk more about this topic and what like newcomers can do and not can do in order like to work or get education. But I'm interested now, how did everything started? Like the movement you created?
Well, on 2nd of March, I saw a picture from one of the Swedish politicians and party leader, Ulf Kristersson, that he shared the image of himself on his Facebook. That it was regarding to the situation right now in Turkey and Greece, that Sweden should strengthen the borders. And in the image, he was crossing his hands like this and looking in the camera and saying like the borders should be closed, and also let's not let 2015 happen again in Sweden. It was written under the text. I
Okay.
think so many people reported that image, so it went, it took away, Facebook took it away, but so many people reach out to that picture and share it. So I saw that picture on 2nd of March. And basically, I felt very angry and sad how politicians like him, not only him, but politicians in Sweden always talk very negative about 2015 when Sweden opened up the borders and welcoming many people. So I got very angry and sad. So I decided to write a post, a Facebook post, basically, which was my personal answer to him regard how he answered or reacted to the situation in Turkey and Greece. So I said that I proudly announced that I was a refugee in 2015, and I'm currently working and paying tax. I can speak Swedish fluently. I'm respecting all of the laws in Sweden, and I know many people who are like me. They are fighting and trying so hard to become a part of this society. But politicians like you make it harder for us to feel like Sweden is our home. And I said that it's been very wrong of Sweden how they portrayed refugees or newcomers 2015, because it couldn't encourage other 27 Europe countries to open up their borders or take responsibility for the situation in Turkey and Greece. If all of the countries in Europe open their borders or at least take responsibility for the situation which is happening in Greece and Turkey, there wouldn't be any crisis, there wouldn't be any problem. And I used a quote from my grandmother, which she I mean, she's gone, but she used to say that it's easy to wake up someone who is sleeping, but it's harder to wake up someone who is pretending to sleep. And I feel like politicians in Sweden are like that they are pretending to be asleep. And in the end of the message, I wrote that I am 2015, whether you like or don't like it, and I know that so many are like me. And I post this basically Facebook post, and I wrote in the first comment, please people send your stories to me or share it and use the hashtag jag är 2015 or I am 2015. And in few hours, the post went viral and engaged thousands. Like, I was very shocked at how it spread very quickly. In the beginning, it was many of my friends who shared it and, writing comments. But after a few hours, it was like people that I have no idea who they are. They were writing, sharing, and I was very fascinated. And then I reach out to some people like sharing their stories with the hashtag, and I was very impressed, and I was super happy that this could reach out to many people to share their stories and motivate them to tell their stories, because it's very important.
Wow, that's a really, it sounds like it's a simple action, like you just wrote a Facebook post, but then the impact of it was so big in a larger scale. And the people who reacted, were there just people from 2015 or even, let's say, the Swedes?
It's both. There has been a very diverse group, but basically who live in Sweden who reacted to this.
Yeah.
So I can say it's been both. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the core of the movement, before you thought it's gonna be a movement, so it's more about the people from 2015 showing themselves how good they are working, educating themselves, paying taxes, and just being like a normal citizen.
Exactly. And I want to say this from my heart, that everyone, regardless the campaign, everyone has the right to get protection when it's needed. And this campaign is not about that if someone is working or having education has the right to get protection. This campaign is the only way to come for us as people to communicate with this politician who always talk very negative about newcomers and refugees, that they are not good for the society or for economic and so on and so forth. So this campaign for me is not like a communication to people, it's communication to people who are actually responsible to act, to do something, especially for people who are in a horrible situation in Turkey and Greece. So we want to show that we were proud of Sweden, what Sweden has done back in 2015, that welcoming people and helping out people who are coming as refugees, and also show a positive side of that for the country.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same. I'm sharing the same feelings and idea with you because when I came to 2010 to Sweden, Sweden is my now almost my first country. I got just a new life here. Now I'm working with urban planning and developing the society. I love Swedish people. Swedish communities are so great, but I'm so sad there are some politicians that just, how to say, make the image so rude and just destroying everything that Sweden was building and the Swedish people that contributing with. So, did you see any reaction from the responsible people in decision making?
Not yet, actually. So my plan was to gather all of the stories together and physically go to the parliament in Stockholm and leave all of these stories, both from migrants and also Swedish people, to the elected politicians. And they must read all of the stories and have a discussion about it. But suddenly things went a little bit slow because of the coronavirus situation that slowed down a bit of the process of this. But I'm still fighting, and I have gathered more than 1,500 stories right now. And I'm trying to get more and more stories. But sooner or later, when things get calm with coronavirus, I will do this. And I want to physically go there and print all of the stories and hand it to the elected politicians, because this must be done as soon as possible. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Then that's very amazing. Like you started in March and now we are in April. It's just almost 1 month and so many stories you got and so many reaction. I see in to be honest, in the beginning, it was my Swedish friend who told me, "Oh, did you see the 2015 campaign?" I'd be like, "Wow, show me." Then I saw like it's so amazing, so big movement. So I'm really happy that there's people in society like you going for action, because during many years there's always some politician coming out and telling something against the newcomers, people, and so on. And to be honest, there was not someone standing in front of their face, and that's why we just keep having this kind of negative speeches.
Exactly. And what was I happy for was that a reaction of me and not staying silent to a person could reach out to so many people and created movement. And what I can add to that was that I didn't plan to create a movement. It became a movement because of people, because of their support, because they were brave enough to share their stories, to share bravely like their stories to others officially, and not staying silent, because that's the problem right now, that there is a thing in Sweden, we call it jantelagen. It's about like being in the norms, or being accepting stereotypes and not sticking out. For me, this campaign was the best way to encourage people to stick out with their opinions about their experiences and not be afraid to share it with others and actually feel proud. Sometimes I've had met many people that they are ashamed of saying that I'm a refugee. Um, and I'm very sad of that, because to be a refugee, you need to be very strong, and it's a lot to handle, to find your way, to start a new home, to learn a language, learn the rules and everything. It takes a lot of energy. And I believe that all of the refugees who are currently in Sweden or in Europe and so on, they are the most bravest people in the whole world, but also at the same time, the most vulnerable people that politicians always use as a tool to blame when things doesn't go well with other things. They blame them because something else doesn't go well,
Yeah,
economics doesn't go well or whatever. They blame them, which they don't they don't do anything, but they become a tool for many people with power to use them to get attention,
yeah,
and that's quite sad.
yeah. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, like the when the system goes wrong, they just blame the powerless people, and that's worse every time because they're powerless. They cannot really reach out and show how how good they are, and that they are not the part of the problem. Actually, maybe they are part of the solution.
Exactly, exactly.
But do you, Atosa, do you think that you say that politician didn't show an official reaction or state? Did Is there any other people that stand up with you and tell you, "Oh, you're doing so good. This movement is great, and we are supporting you," or no one reached you?
I could reach out to so many people because of this campaign, who are helping me voluntarily with this campaign, because to be honest, I don't work with politicians. I don't get paid to work with this. So I can't do it alone. I need actually people to stand behind my backs and help me out to reaching to more people and also gather stories. So I have reached out to a lot of like Swedish people and migrants and they help me everyday life to keep me up to date and help me out to reach to more and more people. And without them, I couldn't be here and talking about the campaign or movement. And I'm very grateful.
Of course, me too. I'm very grateful. The approach is great, and it's about being together in this because it's in the end it's one society, and if we create a war in the society, who's going to win?
Yes, exactly, exactly. We need each other to survive. And actually, the situation right now that is happening in Greece and Turkey really scares me because I don't want to be ashamed of this history in the future, to tell to my story, to my grandchildren, that what has happened in our history. I think it's very important that we act and do something about it. It's very important. It is time. And I hope that more and more people be aware of this campaign, not only in Sweden, but also in Europe, to know about this campaign and join it and share their stories. I think it's very important that we get more and more people, and this campaign doesn't get bubbled in Sweden. It's very important.
Yes, of course, and I'm very grateful that you're recording the podcast now, and especially in English, so more people can hear your voice and just feel it. Yes, we're going through the same actually.
Exactly. Yes.
Atusa, can you tell us what are the different uh, challenges the newcomers people to Sweden go through? And
It's a lot of challenges, basically, but one of the biggest problems or issues is that with this campaign, I could reach out to so many people who came in 2015, but they still not be able to get residence permit, and they weren't lucky to, as like a person like me, to get residence permits or full last numbers to be able to work or go to SFE where you learn Swedish language. But they from other ways try to learn the language and find jobs, but it's so hard to keep up with the society and the system. And also there is many people also coming new to Sweden, and they are waiting for such a long time to even get the first interview with migration office, and they're not like before. The process is more longer. 3 years is a normal period for getting like residence permit or basically an answer from migration office. So imagine 3 years of waiting and not be able to find job or to do
it's,
anything.
yeah, it's just like being freezing, and not doing anything in your life.
Exactly, because you need. So I give you an example from my life. I found a job before I get my residence permit, and it is very hard to open a bank account without having a ID card or four last numbers. So basically, I had a contract and I had my tax number. I had everything ready. I went to the bank and they said, you can't open a bank account. And it's so hard nowadays to get paid without having a bank account. But I was lucky that the place that I started work at, they found another way to pay me. But not all of the places are like that. Some places would give up on giving you a job because you don't have a bank account. So what I'm saying is it's getting more harder and harder for people who coming with a big talent, big resumes, like they want to really get into the system, they want to work, they want to study, they want to integrate, to really do that because of the four last numbers, because how they get treated by the immigration office in Sweden. So their talent, their energy just decrease. And basically after 3 years, you get mentally breakdown. Like 3 years is such a long time to
Yeah,
wait.
yeah. To be
Yeah.
honest, I met so many people as well, like with a great experience and talent. And as you mentioned, the system making it so hard for them to even get a job, or because they are not really official or able to get like paid or and so on. So, and as you mentioned, their talent and everything just like disappears because there's no point. They cannot use it here. And some people, they just get this psychological situation. They be like, okay, maybe I should stay at home and just die there because here I'm dying alive. And for me, it's so sad to hear that because we are here in Sweden, like this very well developed country, so many opportunities, and then you hear these stories, you're getting like really negative feeling. I'm so sad about this.
Yes, and the most vulnerable people right now in the society is people without papers. The people actually who get negative answer from migration office and live without papers in Sweden. So basically, you don't have any rights in the
Yeah,
society. So anything happen to you with discrimination, healthcare, a lot of like supports are gonna be vanished from your life, and you need to survive. And it's very horrible.
yeah,
And I meet them basically every day. And it's so sad because I, as an individual person, cannot help. But I hope that this campaign would also take their stories to the politicians, because also they are a group of vulnerable people in Sweden, or I think there are many in Europe that is still are challenging to get basic rights.
yes, of course. And I can imagine from the side of from the point of view of migration office, it might be so many cases, so they don't have time. But at the same time, I understand like you can just have more resources to check through the cases. Did you reach out to migration office, or did they say something about making the process easier and so people can get the official, what do you call it, tax number or?
No, actually, it's becoming harder and harder. Uh, at my work, we are trying to sometimes, if there is any job opportunity, we give it to people who are refugees. And it's a very long process, I can say. It's a very long process that as a person who is given a job, you get very exhausted. It's a very long process, both for a person who is looking for a job to actually found a job, and then how to make it official is also another process.
Yeah.
So it's kind of impossible. So
Mm.
I feel like this is the only way for them to make it harder for people to find their way and, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
establish themselves.
Yes. If like I ask you, what should the Swedish government do in order to fix all of this? Do you have like a kind of recipe, do one, two, three, like steps, or would you suggest the Swedish government to act?
I want the Swedish politicians, the elected politicians, to listen to the people, because we are part of this country and this society. And it's very important. That is, we call it democracy, that we would be heard by politicians, that they hear our voices. And it's very important. I urge people right now in Sweden to not take democracy for granted. It's very important that you always communicate with the elected politicians and they hear your voice. So the first step for me is that they read all of the stories, and all of them, not only one party leader. The campaign started by my personal message to one person who is a politician, but I want to take all of these stories to all of them parties in Sweden to read them and take some responsibility for the situation which is happening in Turkey and Greece, and also for people who are without papers living in Sweden, to take some responsibilities, and also to encourage other countries in Europe to do the same thing, because we live together and everyone should take responsibility. Then things wouldn't be hard. I believe if all of the 27 Europe countries take responsibility for the situation which is happening, it wouldn't be any crisis and it wouldn't be hard.
Of course.
Uh, but I want them to take responsibility, because to be honest, I don't work as a politician. It's not my responsibility to answer this. It's their responsibility. And Sweden should stop talking very negative way about migrants. That's very important. That's the first step to open up a discussion with other countries. It's very important that they say, oh, migrants and refugees has done this many positive things for our country. And I'm urging all people who are scientists or working as a researchers to join this campaign and help me with more facts, so we can use this with this campaign to show that refugees hasn't been that negative for the country and the system.
Yeah. And what else could the people do, especially the newcomers people, in order to let their voice heard by politicians?
Um, I urge everyone to use the same hashtag jag är 2015 or I am 2015 and share their stories officially in social medias, and to give information to other people about this campaign. Like, as you said, you heard from your friend about this campaign, right? And I think it's very important that if we know about something, we also help out to spread it to others. So I would like to ask people to tell each other about this campaign, not only in Sweden, in whole Europe, to acknowledge each other and share their stories, and don't feel like their stories is not good enough. All of the stories, all of the voices matters to us.
Yeah.
And it's not about that you must have came to Sweden or Europe in 2015. It's about that you have a knowledge about what has happened back in 2015 and how was the situation and how is it now, and write your experience and your stories, because for me and many other people's, their stories and their voices are very important.
Yeah, so every single person can be part of this movement and just push forward.
Yes, exactly. Everyone, not only because some people misunderstood the campaign that you should have been like a migrant or refugee to join this campaign, but it's not true.
Yeah.
You are, as a person who lived in Sweden and for a long time, or Swedish, you can also share your story, how you felt, how Sweden was in
Mm,
2015,
mm.
because so many people were proud of Sweden. And so many people actually went, for example, in Malmö, people went to the central station with food and with things to like welcoming people. There was actually a big, like a poster in the station that it was written in 4 different languages. And it says, if you are a refugee, you are welcome to Malmö.
Yeah.
I
And
miss that.
yeah, and same here. To be honest, this for me, Sweden is this welcoming society and country.
Yes, and I miss that. And I hope that I know that so many people also miss that. And I hope that people would share how they feel right now. It's important that we share our stories.
Yeah,
And right now, we need that. We need voices.
of course. It's a very good point that you mentioned now that everyone can be part of it. Because to be honest, when I saw it, for me, I was a refugee as well from 2010, and when I saw 2015, I'd be like, can I publish my story because I'm not really from 2015? So I'm very grateful that you make the image clear now and that everyone could just be part of it because we are human.
Yes, exactly. And we need to also acknowledge others and motivate others also to join and share their stories. It's not about, we should see this campaign not as for migrants. We need all of us together as one voice, right?
Of course, yes, of course. That's how we make the change if we all together in this. Do you think that you're gonna have a big demonstration in the future, like make it more official and just go outside and gathering people on the street? Of course, after coronavirus and so on.
If well, we right now there are people behind my back and as volunteers, and I mean I live in Malmo, which I have my own network around me, but it would be great to meet others who are living in other cities and find possibilities to meet people and talk to them face to face. So I hope that we would manage to do something in the future to meet and to plan things together.
Yeah.
And hopefully, when things get to calm down with the coronavirus, we would plan to do that.
Mm, mm. And also, there every story that has a different side, like a dark side and so on. When I went to the Facebook, I see like there are so many different groups, actually, and there's one very big group of people, like a Facebook group, I think more than 50,000 member in this group, but it's not the official one. But still, it's part of the movement. So, what's your thoughts and reflection about like there being different many groups and different people telling that, oh, I am the one who created this, I am the one who did this. What do you think?
Well, in the beginning, I was a bit what do you say, confused. That why there is many pages and groups are created by people that I have no idea, and they are sharing stories and so on. So I was a bit confused, and I really tried to collaborate with some, but it didn't end to somewhere as a collaboration. But still, I'm very happy that this campaign could inspire many people to open pages and groups, and kind of in other way helping this campaign to grow. But to be honest, I think it's very important that each groups and each pages encourage people to use same hashtags, and also encourage people to share their posts officially, because if we want to reach out to people, we need to not bubble ourselves in only one group. It's important that we share our stories in our Facebook officially with same hashtags. I've seen people creating new hashtags or new names. I think it's very important that we keep same name if we want to go somewhere. But in another way, I'm very glad that this could inspire and motivate many to make pages and yeah, groups in Facebook. But right now we have a group in Facebook. We call it I Am 2015 People's Movement, and we have 2,000 members right now currently. But our aim is how we can develop this movement. It's not about people sharing their stories. It's about how we can go forward with this movement. Because in one way, okay, everyone is sharing their stories, but then what is the next step? So in this group, we are working on how we can have more structures with this campaign, how we can develop, how we can reach out to more and more people, and where this campaign should go. Yeah.
Exactly, because this is my next question. What is the next step? Like, are you making it official association, or do you have any thoughts now together with the community?
Well, basically, right now we are keeping it as a, we call this as a people's movement, because to be honest, this campaign without people, without the help of many people, never became a campaign. So we call it like a people's movement. And our focus right now is how we can reach out to other countries, for example, Germany, because Germany also accepted many refugees back in 2015, like Sweden. How we can reach out to them, how we can get their stories, how we can reach to people who can help us spread the world. So we are right now basically working on how we can make this more internationally, so it becomes a bigger discussion for countries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more about the external communication,
Yes,
the
exactly.
the the priority of the next step.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
wonderful. Um, I'm working with urban planning and with the societies and city development. And for us, it's that to create the perfect city for the citizens and make it accessible and beautiful. If I might ask you, what is the future city for you, or how does like we call it a smart city? What is a smart city for you?
I can give you an example of what has happened in Malmo, a beautiful city of Malmo, which is diverse. So I actually live close by Mollevantorget. It's a place that you can see a very blended, diverse of people together. When I just walk there, I feel like home. The smell, the people, different languages, different colors. It's fantastic. But I hope that this blended people would also blend on the whole city. What I am very sad is people bubbleize in special areas, and for people it's also so hard to move around. In Malmo, basically, right now you can't have a yo-yo card if you don't have a bank account. Back in the day,
Just to be clear, a UU card is a bus card, right? Or public transportation card.
yes.
Yeah.
And well, in Malmo, they have decided to take that away. And you need to have more official bus cards or cards to be able to transfer in the city. And so many people who are new in Sweden, and as I said before, they have a hard time to open a bank account. They're not officially here. And it's been very challenging for us to find solution with that, how we can encourage newcomers to move around in the city, because they need to find networks, meet people, and this may end to a better city when we actually meet each other. In social medias and news, they have another image of people. And I believe that where you can see the real people in actually physical world. But somehow it's become very hard for people to move around. So for me, a dream city would be like people have a free access to transfer, to move around, could reach out to places. You don't need to be a special class of the economy to be able to do that. Everyone would have a right to move around the city, which is actually we have a lack of that in Malmo. And what else I would be dream for me is that the city would be a place that people could reach out to each other, different people, because I think so many misunderstandings happen when we don't meet each other, when we don't start to knowing each other. Not only between migrants or Swedish people, but also migrants and migrants. It's something that I think it would create the city more beautiful, that people can move around and start their own business in like different part
Yeah.
of the city. Because right now in Malmo there is a special areas that migrants have their own business or start their own restaurants or what do you say, markets. I hope that in the future people can spread that. Like you could go, some other areas which is only for Swedish or high class people, and you can start your business there, or you can, move around.
Yeah.
That would be dream for me.
Wow. So it's very interesting point of view that smart city for you is more about opening communities to each other so they can exchange their culture, their thoughts and reflection, and also make the different areas accessible to every single person, that you don't need to have to be rich to get the public transportation, because eh, actually it's funny because it's called public transportation and not really public.
Yeah,
It's
it's
also,
crazy.
yes. Well, it was a great message especially for me as an urban planner and trying my best to create the future cities. Now I will not take so much of your time. We have to arrive to the end of the episode. I have three last question. What is the next step for you, Atusa, as a person?
For me, the next step is to learn from the history, to always open my eyes about what's going on around me and around the world, and use different situations as a possibility to learn and to not let the same mistake happen again. And I hope that this movement that started by a Facebook post, and they become a bigger movement, would encourage people around me or others to not stay silent, to not feel that you are too small to make a movement, as Greta says. Um, that is very important, that to not feel that you are so little to make a movement, you are so little to make a change. And I'm so grateful that I could experience that. And this has changed me a lot, actually. And I could learn a lot because of this campaign, by reading people's voices. And for next step for Atoosa is to be conscious, to not be silenced, and to keep fighting for the democracy and for rights for people. And everyone has the right to get protection.
Yes. And 3 takeaway messages and 3 hashtags.
3 hashtags. I would rather to say I am 2015. Also in Swedish, jag är 2015. And in Farsi, hashtag man 2015.
Great, great. And the 3 takeaway messages, but
Can
hopefully
you
that
say it? Can you say it in Arabic?
أنا 2015.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you. So, 3 takeaway messages and hopefully keep this in English.
um, Messages. Your voice is important. You always need to be heard by elected politicians, and don't stay silent. We need to act together. Yes, this.
Very, very inspirational. And I am, again, thank you so much for giving your time and for speaking about the movement and continue working hard to spread people's stories and letting the government hear them.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm very happy to talk to you.
Thank you. And hopefully in the future, maybe we can have another episode talking about the development of the movement in some days or weeks. It depends. But I wish you all the good luck with everything you do. And thank you so much again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you for listening to this episode. And I'm really encouraging you to be part of this movement because, again, my reflection is I feel very sad that these things happen in Sweden. Like, because this is not the true of the Swedish society. All my friends, like the Swedish friends and so on, so great people, so wonderful. And again, this is not the image of Sweden. So we should really show the real image of the Swedish society and Sweden as a country because it's a lovely country. Thank you so much for listening. Follow in Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I am Mustafa Sharif. Have a good life.